Miami's hot, 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 fire. Miami's hot, 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 fire. I know y'all get sick of me doing that, but you wouldn't know what review this is if I didn't do that, right? Yeah. Anyway, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another episode of The Real Housewives of Miami. And this is season 7. This is episode 8, and it's called Dueling Yachts. And yes, I'm on time for this review because this is actually the episode I was looking forward to the most, because Dr. Nicole, she graced us with her presence on this episode. So without further ado, let's get into the things. Y'all already know what my thumbnail is going to be given, because y'all know I've been waiting this whole entire season for it. Miss Dr. Nicole, of course, is going to be in the thumbnail. You already know. And if you didn't know that, child, I don't know how you didn't know that. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the episode. So we start off. I'm having a tough time, guys, with this season. You already know why, because I don't see it for Julia at all. I'm pretty much have written her off in my, mentally in my head. So anytime she has an individual scene, I give it something, but then I speed through it. So the gist I got from this initial scene, y'all can tell me different, because I listened to the first 5 minutes of it and I was like, fast forward, was Julia and Martina were talking about the boys and how apparently Martina has so much more energy. And it's like, okay, whatever. I feel so bad for those boys. This is one of those things that's so wrong with this world. Moving forward, and I'm not against adoption. I hope y'all know that. But when you have people of a certain caliber that adopt outside of their race, I'm going to need them to understand, educate themselves on the plights of that race or religion or whatever have you, before you decide you're going to adopt. Because seeing how tone deaf both of them are when it comes to Black issues, especially Black women issues in the United States, these Americas, again, Pepperidge Farm will never forget Martina and her junk. And then Julia and how she's been treating Gertie this whole entire season. And then just how certain things look, just as I'm watching the show. I'm bothered. I'm really bothered that they adopted the 2 boys, because I'm like, where are you teaching them? What are you teaching them? Also, side note, I think I want to shout out to Kempire. Shout out to you. I didn't notice it while I was watching the episode, but okay, so for those who don't know, I do my reviews, but I try to do my reviews after I watch the show first. I don't watch or listen to other people's reviews until after I've done my thing. That way it's out there. I don't get influenced by other people's thoughts, that kind of thing. But one thing, and also I also kind of like to see what I catch versus what other reviewers catch. Sometimes I have my own little thing, my own little theory of things, and others have their own thing that they hang on to. It's very fascinating. So for those who are wondering, do I, take other people's ideas? No. So even when these reviews are delayed, please know I'm not on YouTube watching other people's stuff, because I'm going to take on some of their ideas without having my own ideas independently. So I try to watch the show, get my first initial reaction, and then do a review. But back to what I was saying. Shout out to Kempire. He mentioned something that I didn't notice in the last episode. Martina and Julia had those boys dressed in Balenciaga. And if you know about Balenciaga. But that's an example of my problem with this. So do your Googles, do your research if you're not aware of why that's problematic. But that's pretty problematic to me. I wasn't paying attention to what the boys were wearing. even though it literally said, I think, because then I went back and watched after he said it, I was like, oh, wow, that's clear as mud that they're wearing that. But I just wasn't paying attention. I was just really just more bothered that I'm like, oh no, I can't believe the adoption went through. Like, that's kind of where I was at with it. I know that's messed up. And I know they have the resources and money to maybe give give the boys what they need, which is great. But the thing is, I feel like there's other families that could have gotten them that too. That, I don't know. It's just one of those things that I just am curious, and maybe the questioning did happen when it comes to, like, some of the adoption screening questions. Maybe that was a thing, but it's also the fact that it's not only them adopting, but it's them doing this in Florida. And we already know Florida is not, when it comes to black and brown, especially black, it's it's another place that's a little bit problematic. So it's kind of, yeah, I know outside, when we think of Miami, we don't think of Florida. We think, the rest of Florida, but Miami's still part of Florida. So let's be so for real, So not, I hate, and this is why I don't like it when the show starts with Julia, because it just brings me to a non-positive place. Like, because honestly, overall, this episode was great. It's starting off bad for me to review it to you because of how I feel about Julia and everything that's going on. It's kind of basically presenting a dark cloud on a show that I like. I used to never be like this negative, but like, I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, they talked about the boys, and after that, then Julia continued to Karen, and basically, she has not learned to not be the victim. And I heard she was on Watch What Happens Live, and she had some type of an apology, and I don't believe it. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at with her. Again, F Julia. Moving on. Okay, so then from there, and I don't know what else that they talked about. They might have talked about something else. They might have been more specific. I don't know. I fast forwarded, just in case you didn't know that. But moving on, we then go to Larsa and Stephanie, and we're at Stephanie's house. And by house, I mean this house that is basically completely gutted out. And it's basically just a blank canvas, just with like the foundation there, basically. And immediately when they show up, Stephanie has the contractor stop working so that they can talk. And Stephanie, so what happened with this place? This place used to be the house that her current husband and his ex-wife had together with the family. And it was very Peruvian, like very much like that was kind of the vibe that it gave. And apparently Stephanie didn't like that. And also Stephanie, so basically after this divorce happened, he got the house, and so he wants to move back into the house. And I have a lot of questions. So for one, I have questions. Why does he want to move back into this house so badly? Maybe it's a location thing, or maybe the money is funny. I don't know. Just I'm not going to say it because it's not on the show, but allegedly there's a lot of rumors going around when it comes to Stephanie and who she is and who her and her husband are, and if their money that they're flaunting on the show is really given what needs to be given. You kind of, based off of how Stephanie talks, you kind of almost think that it wouldn't be giving what she says it's giving, because partially the reason why I kind of already kind of made it known that I don't think I don't really like Stephanie. I don't really like Stephanie because she's definitely giving you money because she constantly talks about money, and it's not in a way someone who's used to having money would never do that, and she's giving that. But the other thing that when she was describing in the scene is that she wants to gut this house completely. And so she's redesigning this whole entire new place, but it's going to end up costing them more than if they would have just went and brought another place. About time everything's all said and done. And because she doesn't want any remnants of the ex-wife being anywhere in this place. But my whole thing is, why would you agree to live in the house? I guess I have questions on it. Because it's kind of giving credence to rumors. And one of the rumors, I'm just going to throw it out there and then we're going to move on. One of the rumors out there is allegedly she was a mistress and became the main. So to me, if you were that, everything that she's saying makes sense. Because I wouldn't want anything to remind me of what I did either. But if everything went the way it should have went, and because relationships sometimes they have an ending, and then you met him by chance, and then basically if the something in the buttermilk ain't clean about all this, and I don't know if anyone else caught that, but because I know some of the other things are going around that they're saying about Stephanie, it's giving those theories legs. And I'm very curious too if that's going to get brought up further on in the season, or if we're going to get something like that from the reunion. So if anything, even though I don't really personally like Stephanie, she is interesting. So she is someone who is interesting to watch on this show. I am actually interested. I am starting to get invested in what she got going on, because I don't believe the things that she has going on. I think she's fun for the cameras, and I kind of want to see it blow up. I ain't gonna hold you. And because she has this thing about her that is not quite likable, I won't feel bad seeing that. I don't know. I want to know your thoughts on it. But Larsa was just there with her, and they were just talking about everything. But I mean, it was down to even they are moving the location where the pool was. And then there was another thing she said. I don't know if you caught it, about the people who work around the house. She wants to have a separate entrance for them. I don't know. It's not helping me like her. These are the things I'm just kind of like, I'm paying attention to the things that you're saying, and I'm not feeling it. I will give you your 10s for trying to see both sides of the Gertie and Julia situation. But outside of that, I'm still, when it comes to everything else about you, I don't know. I still don't like her. And you know what? I would love to be wrong, but there's just something about her that I am not vibing with. I think I said this in the last episode. I kind of straight up said, I don't think I like her. And this is not helping. Anytime where we get to her individual story of things and how she kind of narrates it in the confessional, it's extremely pretentious. And people who have, I guess I don't really visualize someone on this show who really has like that to need to be pretentious like that. For example, Kathy Hilton. Not on this show, but on a different franchise. We know her money's long, but she's not giving pretentious like this. Same thing with even Dr. Nicole. Dr. Nicole had the money too in the funds, but she wasn't pretentious. It was giving, oh man, I would love to hang out and party with her. And she actually would probably be cool and would not have a problem with me hanging out with her. It gave that kind of she still has a down to earthness about her, even though she's just a cool chick that happens to have money. And that's what I want out of a housewife. I don't necessarily want where I feel like I'm accessible to you, because let's be so frugal. I don't feel like I'm accessible to none of these women. Well, no, some of them I do, and that's part of the problem when it comes to a lot of these shows, but neither here nor there. But you get the drift, what I'm trying to say. I wanted to be oh, okay, you seem normal, but you just happen to have money. I don't know, because even a Heather Dubrow, she's pretentious-ish, but it's not as annoying as Stephanie. Let me know in the comments if I'm just bugging, but I just feel like she's just so over the top pretentious, it's just like it's giving me the ick. But anyway, moving on. So then next we have Kiki. Well, actually, within the scene, we find out that Larsa is planning like this. Larsa and Kiki, they're planning this yacht party type deal. They were originally going to be in one big yacht, but because of how everything has been going down with the ladies, they decided to get two separate yachts. And so basically, we see that they're basically kind of doing like a draft pick, if you will, Kiki and Larsa. So on Kiki's boat or yacht, we're going to have Lisa, Gertie, and Adriana. And then on Larsa's boat, we're going to have Stephanie, Julia, Alexia. Kiki did ask, like, are you sure? Like, Stephanie and Alexia should be on the same boat together? And Larsa's like, I don't really think it's that serious. And honestly, I mean, it's not. And I'm glad she at least did that, because otherwise I feel like we wouldn't have as much drama on the show. And honestly, I'm starting to see like, there's no starting. I've been saw a pattern, but there's definitely a pattern with Alexia and Marisol. And I love that anytime there's a new girl on the scene, it brings it out of them being basically old, bitter, mean girls. Because that's what they give. Just in case y'all didn't know that, that's how I feel about them both. They're bitter old mean girls. But, and Larsa is too, but like, Larsa doesn't really care as much when it comes to a lot of things. The only person that Larsa doesn't really see it for is really Adriana. So Adriana was originally asked, like, would you pick Adriana? And she's like, no, I think she'll do better on your boat. And so Kiki ended up getting Adriana. And then Larsa's like, okay, well, how about you get, and then, because originally Kiki was also going to Marisol too. They call Marisol, and Marisol basically is like, I don't want to be on the same boat with Adriana. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And it's like, Marisol, let the mouse go. And this is why, Marisol, you will never be full-time. Ever. Honestly, I'd rather have Adriana be full-time before you. You are so desperate. And a lot of what's going on, if you haven't noticed with the show, and I've been trying to allude to it for a while now, because let's be so for real, like, this Gertie thing is related to Adriana. A lot of these beefs are related to Adriana, because there definitely is kind of like an alliance going on this show. You can see it, and they're basically just kind of killing the show, essentially. Like, and it's sad because the show was so good, and they're kind of killing it with this crap of what they're doing. But basically, Marisol does not want Adriana on the show, and has been not wanting Adriana on the show. She's been trying to get her ice out of the show for years now. And just because she doesn't like Adriana. But the thing is, it's not going to help you, Marisol, become full-time. You're not interesting. Your mom was interesting on the show, not you. Sorry. I hate to call a thing. Her mom was the most interesting person on the show back when she was full-time. It was never her. Like, and I just, like, it just kind of grossed me out that we just see in this episode, okay, Marisol's back to her old tricks of trying to, like, get Adriana, like, doesn't want Adriana on the boat. And then when Marisol has an event, she doesn't invite Adriana. It's like, it's just trash. I'm just over it. And it's like, girl, you will never be the main cast member. Anyway. So, I wrote in my notes, Marisol's being an asshole. Anyway, moving on. So next we do have this scene where we have Alexia with Peter, her son, and her son Frankie. And these are the few times where I love the scenes where she's with her boys. Even though Peter is problematic himself, he definitely has problematic moments. The way he cares for his brother Frankie, and Frankie is just like, he's the star of, like, between the three of them on this show. And I just love seeing Frankie. But we find out though in this scene that Frankie's been having a lot of stomach issues because he has diverticulitis. And so they're working on helping him out with that. But as you know, whenever like Frankie has issues, it frightens them. It frightens both Alexia and Peter because you just never know, especially ever since Frankie's had that, car accident. You just never know when it comes to Frankie getting sick. But they start kind of getting teary-eyed talking about that. And I just wonder, have they ever been in family counseling? Because if not, I feel like they should be in family counseling. I'm sorry. I just noticed there was like a bug flying. I might have to get that fly later. But anyway, neither here nor there. I have the windows open. It's actually really nice today outside and windy. So the wind is coming in, which is great because it's airing out my apartment. And I've been needing that. Yeah, so I don't even know why I call this an apartment. This is a condo. Apartment is when you're renting. A condo is when you're owning. According to my therapist, that's what she said. I don't know. I don't know the difference. To me, it's like whatever. But anyway, I totally got distracted there. But yeah, so they got teary-eyed. They kind of talked it over. But we know that Frankie's doing okay. And I'm hoping this season we see more of like what Frankie's got going on. Because remember last season we saw that he's working on being more independent. And especially with everything that's going on with this Todd situation, I'm wondering, I want to know more about what's going on with Frankie. And so, you know how like I said, Marisol's, what was interesting about Marisol was actually her mother, rest in peace. Alexia, she's interesting herself because she's kind of insufferable. She kind of gives me, she's basically like the blonde Cuban Teresa from, the Real Housewives of New Jersey. That's not really a compliment, but that's also that's kind of not a bad thing either. Because if anything, you are giving attention. You're polarizing. She is polarizing, so that's kind of what I was getting at. But the other thing that's interesting about Alexia is you get her softer side with her kids. And I do, whenever I see these things with her, I actually do appreciate it. But anyway, moving on to the highlight of the episode for me. And then we see Dr. Nicole strutting through. Yes, Dr. Nicole and Gertie sing. And they picked up exactly where they left off. Dr. Nicole is looking amazing. The way she snapped back after having a baby, I was like, baby where? Baby wait, where? Oh, I see you. Like, looking fabulous as ever. And we kind of get like a nice update from Dr. Nicole. We talk about, we see the baby, and the baby is nice and healthy now. The baby, as a little one, looks a lot like her dad. And then we kind of talk a little bit about, her dad passing away. You could tell she was trying to hold back tears because that was a sudden passing. That abruptly happened. And we found out during the reunion while she was pregnant that happened. And we also found out, I'm sure as a result of the stress and everything that was going on, she ended up having her child prematurely. And so there was a lot of issues with that. So she was stressing out about that. And so I kind of get why she was not going to be on the show this season. Yeah, the drama with the ladies and everything, that's one thing. But it's like she had a lot going on personally. Losing her dad and giving birth to a new one, her daughter at the same time, which I don't know if any of y'all are spiritual on this channel, or believe in reincarnation or anything like that. But if you do, I do find it kind of interesting. This is me trying to, be positive about it. She lost her dad, but to gain a daughter. That's kind of a beautiful thing in a way. It's tragic, but it's also beautiful at the same time. Yeah. I do feel for Dr. Nicole because that's a lot. And then also too, while all this is going on, she's still, suffering from postpartum. She's going through all that right now. And Gertie's the one who actually mentioned that. She's like, yeah, she's got a lot going on. Like, I don't blame her for not wanting to be on the show right now. And then we talked briefly about her knowing Stephanie, because Stephanie is basically her current fiance's ex-girlfriend. They dated like 20 years ago or whatever. And so Gertie actually ends up FaceTiming Stephanie, and they seem like they would get along very, very well. On paper, surface-wise. I think, but then again, I don't know who Stephanie is. I don't know if her doing this extra stuff on the show is her trying to just like be a housewife. I don't know if she's cosplaying, but kind of is giving that a little bit. But like, if she's doing that, that's actually what I'm not liking. But anyway, they talk. They have a cute little kiki on the FaceTime, Dr. Nicole and Stephanie. And then Dr. Nicole actually jokes about dyeing her hair, because she was thinking about dyeing her hair, how Stephanie's hair is just like, oh my gosh, we would really be twinsies. And they kind of do favor each other a little bit, but not really. I feel like they don't completely look. They seem like they could be like distant cousins. That's it. They're not really. They don't look like they could be sisters or anything like that. I think that's a reach. But anyway, they're trying to do the comparison of like the aesthetics of it all. This kind of was pretty much what was giving. And then Stephanie says this comment about like, yeah, we're not in competition with each other, but her boat is big, but mine is, or her jet is big, but mine is bigger. I'm like, okay, Drake. I'm sorry that she didn't have to do that. It was just, I think that's my problem with her. I think she's just overdoing it, and it's annoying. I can't get past it. But anyway, so then after this, we talk about how Stephanie and Alexia are not getting along, and of course, Dr. Cole's like, "Well, I'm not surprised because Alexia is threatened by anyone who's Type A." Because they're both type, like, she's threatened by anyone who's alpha, just like her. She wants everyone to kiss the ring. She's not going to do that. Somebody doesn't seem like that type. It's like, well, yeah, she's not. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that problem's going to be a thing. And then they talk about the Julia of it all and how much she's changed and how she's just become this different person. And I love how Dr. Nicole called it out, too. It's like, yeah, it's giving. She's like Katie from Mean Girls. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty much high school. It's high school. And I love that we had Dr. Nicole's philosophy and perspective basically calling out what I was just saying about how, like, and she actually even went in depth and said, she reminds me of that new girl who doesn't really fit in with anyone, but just kind of clings on to the first people that will accept her. And then when she gets some traction, gets some movement, see how the school really runs and who the popular kids are, then she like leaves them in the dust and goes over there. And I'm like, bingo. Clout chaser, social climber behavior. Yeah, that. Anyway, so then one last thing. Gertie was like, hey, so when's the next time you're going to be like, so when will you come back on the show? Will you come back on the show? And she said, TBD. And Gertie was like, bitch. I was like, oh, man. And we found out later on, though, that they actually, all three of them hung out afterwards. And by three, I mean Stephanie, Dr. Nicole, and Gertie. They actually went out later on that night. And I kind of wish we would have got that on the show. But because Dr. Nicole isn't really on the show, maybe that's why we didn't get it. But I was kind of hoping that would have been nice if we would have got that. But anyway, next, let's go to the yacht day. Okay, so now all the ladies are arriving to the yacht. Gertie isn't there right away. She's going to arrive later. And then Stephanie, she's going to be leaving early. And then we also have Lisa. She brings her friend. Her name is Ebony. She looks like she might be another friend of the show. And we find out that Ebony is cool with Kiki and Gertie. Like, so that they get along. And I'm not sure if Ebony's black, but I don't know if she's Haitian or if she's just like I think she's Haitian, but I don't know. I don't know. But they're all friends, and it's also Lisa's friend. So I'm like, okay, cool. So basically Alexi and Stephanie start going back and forth with each other like immediately as soon as they get on the boat. Like Stephanie's trying to make peace and be cool, but she's kind of making some of these digs jokingly. And so they go talking about like, well, yeah, you're like a chihuahua. I think that's what no, first oh no, it was Stephanie was like, yeah, you're giving Rottweiler, like, no. Basically, she's like, yeah, you're like a dog with a bone. Like, I guess that's what they were going back and forth about the dog analogies of a dog. And I forgot who called who a chihuahua, but basically, Stephanie apparently is a chihuahua. And then I guess like Alexi is a Rottweiler. And then they go from like saying that to lion and like wolf and child. Okay. And the reason why I'm bringing up the dog analogy of it all is because it's the Easter egg. It's going to come back later on this in this review. Otherwise, I promise you, I would not have been focusing that hard on the name calling of a dog because I'm just like, okay, like these are parts of Housewives because they were at this point they were joking around, and so I was kind of laughing, getting a little kiki. I'm like, okay, this is like the Telemundo part of like the Real Housewives of Miami, because that's actually why I love the Real Housewives of Miami or have in the past, because it's different than the other Housewives. Because to me, it's giving a little bit of Telemundo, like where you have a little bit of that Latin, like extra, like overly dramatic soap opera of it all. That is what they're giving, and I love it. I love it. That, and by the way, when I say Telemundo, I'm not trying to be insensitive. That's not what it is. For those who don't know, let me give you a little background, because I feel like sometimes you got to explain these things so that you don't come off a certain way. I actually used to be pretty fluent in Spanish. I took Spanish from sophomore year of high school all the way till sophomore year of college. And I even worked a job while I was in high school. My first high school job, I worked at a place where we had a lot of, where I'm from, it was like Mexican, people that would come through, because and where I'm originally from, most of the Latin migrants are Mexican farmers from a certain region of Mexico. Like that's who most of the people are where I'm from. So I'm not even trying to be weird about that. I just want to be clear about it. But anyway, back when I worked in like that job in high school, it helped a lot because I was able to talk all the time. So I actually would practice and talk. And then also too, I kind of the more and more I got into it, the more I stopped watching like regular TV, like not regular TV, but like your regular channels, like your English speaking channels. I started watching more like, like Univision. I started watching more of like the Spanish channel. And so I would just watch Telemundo. Like I would watch their version. They had this, like shock talk show that was very similar to Jerry Springer. And I forgot what it was called, but it used to crack me up. And I used to watch it all the time. So I used to watch that. I used to watch some of their soap operas. So like when I say Telemundo, it's in the most enduring way possible because I used to watch a lot of Telemundo for fun. Like, and also to kind of keep my understanding up. And to this day, when people speak Spanish and stuff, I know what they're saying. It's just the problem is I don't know how to respond. Like this takes forever for me to compute it, and a lot of times it doesn't compute. Like I have to be in the environment long enough for it to start picking back up. Like when I was in Puerto Rico, it started picking back up because I was there for like almost 2 weeks. So it was coming back. And I also chose regions where I was in certain cities where I wasn't in your San Juan or Racon. I was like in a non-English speaking populated areas. Because I really was trying to like, I want to be where the people are. But anyway, I know I went way sidetrack on that, but I just kind of wanted to make that clear whenever I say that about the show, because I've said it multiple times about the show, and it's not me being insensitive. It's actually me giving it its tens. Anyway, moving on. Let's just get more back into this boat thing of it all. Okay. So then we find out that Stephanie's not going to be on the boat too long because she actually has to leave to go to Canada. Apparently, her and her husband planned something before they knew about this yacht situation. So they're going to take the jet and go to Canada and I guess come back. Like, I guess. And then while all this is happening, so we have the individual boats. So Kiki ends up telling Adriana how Marisol reacted to them being on the same boat. And why she do that for? Adriana at that point would not shut up. And we haven't seen this version of Adriana at all this season yet, but here she is. And now we understand why. She hasn't been drinking. And except for this time, oh man, she was being insufferable. But it was also entertaining to me personally because I think out of all the seasons, Marisol I never really saw it for, but now, especially how everything's been happening with Gertie, I don't. I'm allowing all this. I am allowing Adriana to be the way she's acting. Because I feel like if you were there, she probably was annoying everybody. But because most of the bullets were for the people that we wanted for, I was kind of like, you know what? I'll allow it. And with Adriana, 9 times out of 10, that's what it usually is. So that's kind of, I'm just like, this is insufferable, but I will allow it. Because the thing is, even though she was being drunk and kind of belligerent, she wasn't really wrong in some of the things she was saying. And why did she say that Marisol needs to get surgery on her wrinkly bony knees? The funny thing is, no lies told. No lies told. I was like, oh my gosh. She's like, you stretch everything else out. Why don't you stretch that out? I was like, oh my god. Basically, Adriana being drunk is her word vomiting and saying things at the wrong and appropriate time and not having a filter. That is her being drunk. And it was like at the points where everyone was trying to move on and stuff, she didn't care. She was just going to say it. It was cracking me up. But then anyway, Stephanie ends up leaving because also, side note, when all this is going on, the boats are parked next to each other. So like them having the separate boats was kind of, it was dumb. They didn't really need to do that because they were able to go in each other's boats if they wanted to. And we find out later on that they definitely did that. But anyway, so then we have Stephanie ends up leaving with all this chaos happening because everyone's trying to put a muzzle on Adriana because she's just like being belligerent. And then after that, then they have a break from that. We see Larsa and Adriana. No, not Adriana. Wow. Larsa and Alexia, they go on the jet ski together and do the jet skis of it all. And Larsa, well, I will say, I'm going to give you your 10s, even though we know that's not your natural body. I don't know why you keep lying to us about it. That body's tea, though. That body is tea. You know what? I'm not a hater. That body is tea. She looked good in that swimsuit. Child, it is what it is. And then so as this is happening, Kiki and like their team, because I mean at this point might as well call them a team, they decide they want to sneak on the other boat and like basically start a water fight with like the spray guns. And so they all get ready to go, and then they all just out of nowhere, as all the other women like on the other boat are laying out, they just get them. And everyone else has a sense. Basically, everyone has a sense of humor about it, minus Marisol. And I'm like, see, this is why we don't want you on this show. You are so annoying. You're annoying because everyone else was able to loosen up and have fun about it and was a good sport about it, except for you. Anyway, And it was mainly because Adriana was the one who was doing it to her. It's like, girl, I feel like Marisol is so jealous of Adriana because at the end of the day, Adriana will always be more likable than you are. Anyway, so then after that, oh yeah. So before I mentioned, I kind of skipped ahead. Marisol and Adriana did go back and forth on this boat a little bit, and that's also when like Stephanie left. That was around that time when she left because she was like, "Oh my gosh, I just want to get out of here." Because I think previous scene where Stephanie and Larsa were like at the house, Stephanie like argued about none of the events have been fun, and I'm just like, Stephanie, have you not watched Real Housewives? But I will give her this though. You know what? To be honest with you, I feel like out of all the seasons so far, when it comes to Real Housewives of Miami, I kind of do agree with her. This has been like the least fun season so far because of like kind of the dark cloud that's on it. So maybe that's what she's talking about. I don't know, but anyway. So after that, then we see Julia and Adriana. They still go to talk to each other, and Julia is still trying to play victim about everything. And now she's trying to get on Adriana for not having her back. And I'm just like, so you want Adriana to be loud and wrong with you? That's pretty much what she's trying to say she wants her to do. And Adriana's like, I'm not going to do that. What you did was wrong. Like, and the text messages weren't even that bad. So no, I'm not going to do that. I was like, thank God. Like Adriana, even though she had her chaotic moments being drunk in this episode, she still is a voice of reason. Like most of the women on this show. And Julia's still trying to do this trope of being the victim, and I'm just kind of like over it. Anyway, fast forward, Gertie arrives, and this is around the time where they have dinner. Let's get into it. So they kind of play this like game a little bit of like saying something nice to each other. So I forgot who recruited who, but someone said, hey, Adriana, Marisol, can you both say something nice about each other? Adriana said a lot of nice things about Marisol, and then Marisol, being the evil, bitter woman she is, could only say she likes that she plays a piano. And it's like, you know, honestly, if Marisol was not so hateful and would just stop living off of jealousy and stop being bitter, she probably could have been full-time on this show years ago. But like she comes off as just an evil, desperate woman that's not interesting. Anyway, moving on. And so then from there, Lisa was like, hey, I want you, like, I know this is, you know, I know you guys still have your problems, but like, can we just put it aside for a second? Can Julia and Gertie, can y'all do the same thing? It was literally a similar playbook. Gertie had all these nice things to say about Julia. Julia tries to do it for a second, and then she goes immediate to victim mode and just says, like, I just can't believe you did this when it comes to text messages. And then all the women, like the three stooges of it all, Larsa, Marisol, and Alexia, try to get at Gertie for exposing these text messages. And Gertie stood her ground like a G. She's like, you know what? If you want an apology from me, you're not getting it because I'm not sorry. I will do it again. I was like, yes. You know, did you even read? And she was like, did y'all even read the text messages? Oh, no. And so in the confessionals, we see some of the women do finally get the opportunity to read it. Because the funny thing is, no one did except for Adriana. Adriana was the only one that knew what everything said. So she was like, yeah, no. Like, Gertie was wrong. I mean, because the thing is, even Dr. Nicole said it. She's like, as a friend, you check your friends. Because I even said, so even Stephanie said, like, even I'm not Stephanie, even like Dr. Nicole was like, you're wrong for exposing the plastic surgery thing to the group when you went low. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's nothing like the splashing in the water is crossing the line. I'm like, exactly. The assault. And I love that Gertie, every time they kept trying to get at her for like exposing like these text messages, she's like, it's not like they were dick pics. Number one. Number two, so me exposing text messages is worse than assault. I was like, that's the word you need to continue to use with these women. Assault. I'm sorry, unless I get my lick back of assault, what Gertie did was light work. She did it. She actually took the classier route. A lesser woman, i.e., probably me, Screenwood went black. Just saying. You know? So, anyway, they're trying to go off on her. And the thing that got me was Alexia got shut up because she's like, so that's worse than assault? Oh, do you want me to apologize? Because I'm not going to apologize. I'm not sorry. and both really Marisol and Larsa and really Alexia, all three of them were just like, they were stuck on stupid. They were just so thinking that Gertie was going to kiss the ring. And I love that she didn't give them none of that. And also, too, towards the end of this, when we saw some of the other women in the confessionals reading what was said, Lisa was like, this wasn't even that bad. Seriously? But Lisa already was on that side of like, whatever, this is nothing. You know? And same thing with even like, Kiki was like, oh my God, we had to do the stereo walkout for this? This what? It didn't even say anything exposing. I was like, thank you. So at this point, I've been so disappointed in Kiki, and trust me, I still am. Even though your body looked good on this episode, that swimsuit was tea. But I will give her a little something. I mean, a little something. She did have Gertie's back just a little bit when it came to the text messages. She was not one of the women who was condemning her about the text messages, because once she actually read what the text messages said, she was just like, she didn't do anything wrong. I'm like, no, she didn't. She hasn't done anything wrong this whole entire time. These women expect her to be easy to be bullied. And what's sick about it is like, you are bullying someone who literally just got out of the fight of her life. And that's the part that I don't understand why these women are not understanding why that is just like, there was no winning doing this. Especially Julia is like, girl, I know you were trying to get in with the cool kids of it all, but have you ever asked or wondered why these other women didn't actually bully Gertie and they want you to do it? Because they don't care what happens to you. They were never going to do it because they knew what that was going to give. So they found a sucker that was within you, someone who was so thirsty, wanting acceptance so badly, they had you do it instead. They were never going to do this. They're always going to find someone else to do it instead of them. They were never going to do this. Because we already know Alexia tried 2 seasons ago, and that landed flat. Larsa tried last season. The timing was horrible, so she was never going to go back to do that again. And Marisol's, we already know, she's scary. She would never do that. She was going to find someone else to do it. And so this lets me know what happened here. It's like, oh yeah, they somehow during that hiatus talked this woman to doing this. And she was too much, and she's such a sucker that she's doing it. And she's not even good at doing what she's doing. Because honestly, my thing is, I don't see it for her, F her, like really. But I would give her a little something if she would stand in it. You can't be the victim and villain at the same time, though. And like Larsa, she stands in it. She is her. She knows she's a villain. She stands there. She stands in it. Is she a great villain? No. I would say Kenya Moore was probably the best villains of like the Housewives. But the thing is, you gotta take what comes with that. Instead of like, and now you're doubling back and doing the humma on like outside the show now. Same thing with Alexia, backing out, doing the humna. Because I don't know how y'all are not expecting a public backlash of these actions, but that's what you got. I don't understand how they didn't see it. I mean, it happened last season when someone else tried it. It's like, optic wise, you cannot do this, okay? Like, And also, too, Gertie didn't do anything wrong for any of this to constitute. And I don't remember if I said in the last week's review or not, but you realize like this whole entire cruise situation, boat situation happened like 2 years ago. So it's not even fresh tea. This is like so we're going back and forth over this. But anyway, Gertie ate those girls right up and spit them out. And that's kind of not me forgetting the final scene. So the final scene of the episode was the next day, and it showed all the ladies being able to wind down and actually have fun after the whole dinner of it all. And they're having breakfast. Well, they're getting ready to have breakfast, and Larsa FaceTimes Stephanie, and Stephanie just says, "Hey, yeah, I'm on my way back. It was just a quick overnight trip, and I'll be back later on in the evening." They're like, "Okay, cool." And then she was making a joke about like, "So is the Rottweiler? Is she here?" And Alexia proceeds to go all the way off. Like, I have a name. I'm Alexia. Da, 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 da. Like, just going all the way off. And, like, Stephanie is genuinely confused, and, along with me, too. Because I was like... Because clearly Stephanie was joking. And it was clearly a joke off of what they were talking about the other day. Like, literally the day before. And the kicker is, Alexia called herself the Rottweiler. So it's not like, it's not like Stephanie was making, really like, calling her name or anything. Stephanie, I think, was really trying to joke and move past the whole Todd of it all and move forward. And that's kind of where things end. They did not move forward. Alexia's upset. Larsa's like, "Girl, you're overreacting." She didn't say it out loud, but in her confessional, she's like, "Yeah, Alexia's definitely overreacting because it was clearly a joke." And that's where the episode ends. So, yeah. Sorry, I forgot to add that in there. I'm going to definitely edit that within my video. But, yeah. Happens. I'd be forgetting sometimes. Also, too, I'm not going to hold you. I kind of forgot because, what we talked about when it comes to Stephanie of it all. I'm still trying to... I don't really like her at this moment, but like, I do find her interesting, but I have a tough time staying engaged with someone who I don't necessarily like for the show, even though they might have an interesting story. Yeah. But anyway, that's spit them out. And that's kind of where the episode ended. And also too, Julia the whole entire time was trying to give this woe was me look, and expecting like Adrienne to step in, and Adrienne was like, "I'm about to go get me another drink." I was like, as you should, because Adrienne in her confessional, she's like, "I'm not doing that for you. Like, why would I do that? Like, you were wrong. Like, Adrienne was like one of the only people on this show that's like, you assaulted her. Her response, you shouldn't be surprised by it. And then when you try to say you want to move forward and you promise that you're not going to do these things, only to turn around and go ahead and do those things. Yeah, Gertie has something for you. I'm glad she gave it to you and delivered it. And I'm glad she's staying unapologetic. I love it. But anyway, I'm just hoping I can stop being angry when it comes to watching this show, because I feel Charles giving Evelina. I'm about to have a vein pop out here, just like, ugh. And I don't want to be like that while I'm reviewing this show. But anyway, that does conclude the episode, though. We're seeing a lot of new things happening here. We see Marisol still doing her stupid crap when it comes to Adriana. Adriana and Julia, they're falling apart. Julia and Gertie are falling apart. Stephanie and Alexia, that beef is still brewing. Stephanie actually might be more on the side of Gertie. I feel like that might be something that might end up happening, but we'll see on that. Yeah, I'm just curious to see how things progress. I saw the preview for the next episode, so it looks like the cast trip might be coming up soon. And I'm excited to see that because it looks like that's going to be good. But anyway, forget what I think. How about what do you guys think about the episode? Yeah, that pretty much concludes. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Mel Nostalgic Runner. I will see you next time. Bye.